get the brand new limited edition Pals Holiday Package available at thepalsmerch.com. Hello guys, my name is SubZeroExtabyte and I'm having a fantastic day. And I hope you guys are having a fantastic day as well, and if not yet, hope you are going to have a fantastic day. But I think I know a certain way how I can make your day fantastic, and that is what we are going to do right now. Because we are going to do something really scary with the disc, but not a normal disc, no, disc 11, the most scary disc of them all. So let me tell you something about this disc. There was a group like me and Chip here, they came across some mobs, but that was nothing new for them. It was the daily life to kill mobs for the two brave adventurers. But this was something that they both never seen before. Sub almost fell in the pit of lava that was down in the second cavern, but he luckily landed on top of a zombie that softly made his landing. And they now had the option to either go right or left. They agreed to go left because it was darker and it had just a darker feeling on the left side. On the right they could see light, so that was not really that spooky. And there was even a third canyon in the canyon center, but they did not want to go there. It was not able that there was something inside the third canyon. That was something that they both thought, so they just went left and kept going until they came across some water and stuff, and they just avoided the water with placing a single block in the source. They now proceeded to go further and further into the fears of the unknown, and they both were not really that happy that they came across all kinds of mobs. But as I already said, it was a daily struggle that they had where they lived, but they amused themselves with slaying mobs, and they were having some fun in this deep cavern. But Steven really wanted to proceed, so he did just that, and he saw some more darkness, and they both wanted that it was not dark anymore, so they placed some torches because they did not want any mobs to crawl upon them and that they would give the two a surprise attack. And they knew what they were doing, so all of that was okay. Steven slipped for a bit, but he managed to come up safe and sound. The creepers that were down there luckily did not hear anything of the fall, and also Sub fell down, and Steven was a bit shocked as he always was. So he froze for a bit and Sub was standing alone, but Steve did an Assassin's Creed move and they helped each other to take the 4 creepers down. It was close, but they handled bigger crowds of creepers back in the days, so that was all okay. Now they just needed to go somewhere that they felt comfortable with, and Steven said that he heard something in the 4th cavern that they stumbled upon. So he proceeded to enter the cavern, and there was about and not really that many other things to wander around. They were safe at that time, and they just keep going until Steven was a bit far and stumbled across a cave that was inside of the 4th cavern. They entered the cave and there was yet another creeper there, but the two managed to kill the creeper, and they came across a couple of lava pools and other pretty normal stuff that you would normally see in a cave. But there was another cave near the cave that they were in, so they entered deeper and deeper into cave after cave, and they came across more lava pools. But this one was actually the same one, so that is pretty neato. Or is it? Well, it was not neato for them. They had not yet found what they were looking for, but Sub wanted to just destroy the 11th disc. They did it anyway. Steven buried the disc just in case that it might survive lava, and they were gone in a matter of seconds. So that was just a little part of the tale of the Steve and the Sub. But then they came across a very big cave that was next to them. They wanted to save some torches because they would run out if they used that many. Sub lost his friend, but he proceeded to search the disc and in the meantime, find his friend. But he saw his friend and he was talking to him, but that was not his Steven that he knew. This was someone else. Was that Herobrine? They were still not sure about that, but he was running away from him, as you should do. There was a close call at the beginning of Sub his escape. He didn't think, he just ran, and he did that very well because he needed to get away from this thing that presumably was Herobrine. He was not sure yet, but he could imagine that something like that was Herobrine. He stumbled across another chest, but this time it was just a mob spawner, so that was not really that special. But Sub still needed to run away from this thing that might be Herobrine that was chasing him, and he got trapped in some waters. Luckily for him, he could manage that. He could escape after a couple of seconds that were really stress for him. He locked himself up in a little hole that he dug, and he basically hoped for the best. He could not see anything, but he knew that he was safe for a couple of seconds, so he felt good about himself, and he felt relieved that Herobrine was not there when he exited his little cave. Talking about little, he killed a baby zombie that was ready to eat his booty, and he survived all of that, and now he went really carefully up the stream like a salmon, but he did not feel like a salmon, but he felt like an antelope that was being hunted by a big group of lions and beasts like that. But he was in a different part of the cave and he once again did not really feel that safe. But he lost Herobrine as he thought, but he was not sure yet. But he once again headed up the falls, but now on the side of the falls. But he heard footsteps behind him and he saw a glance of the Herobrine that was hunting him. It was horrific, but he luckily got away in time and Herobrine did not yet have the power to dig holes in the wall. So, Sub was safe, but just for a couple of seconds. But those safe seconds felt like hours, because he did not yet know when those seconds would be turned into another epic chase. But he was resting his mind with not being chased, so he felt good about himself. He wanted to dig towards another cave and that is just what he did. Or was it? He just dug into a circle and he now was back where he was. But he felt that he was still there, and his feelings were true. He saw another glance of the thing that was chasing him and he was digging another tunnel towards another cave. But that did not really work out that well for him, but he continued anyway. His survival instincts took over and he wanted to get away as soon as possible, but he came across something that he placed down earlier, and that was his torch. But it seemed like Herobrine had left and he was safe once again. But then he heard something behind him and he slowly turned around and Herobrine was there in a corner just watching him as he was doing things. And then all of a sudden Herobrine came out of his hole and he got out. Sub proceeded to run away from the scary thing that was chasing him. He got away for a bit, but Herobrine came closer and closer. It looked like he had taken an arrow to the head and that did not even kill him, so that was something that concerned Sub even more. He might have been immortal. At least that is what our brave adventurer thought at first. But he did not think when he was running, he was just running away from the scary things that were behind him. But he did not find any sign of life from the open air. He was still in a cave, but Herobrine was not behind him, so he had some time on his hand and he tried to make a wall out of cobblestone to stop the scary thing from coming. But also that did not help his problem and he decided to place down a lot of cobblestones and that he would be really hard to find behind those rocks. He once again felt safe, but he knew that such a feeling would not last for long because there was something that was following him at all times, so he knew that he needed to run away some more. But he placed down a lot more cobble, but he did not have that much and he might also need it down the road, so he kept some of the cobble to himself if he was in danger by any time. But he did not care about the future anymore. He placed down all the cobble that he had, and got away as fast as he could. It was not really that smart of him because he knew that he was going to need it at some time, but now was not that time, so he could relax and stuff and he just could focus on getting away from this mess. He went down another little cave and that cave was red all of the sudden, but it did not take long until Sub decided to run away from that little red cave. That was not his place to be. It looked way too creepy. Maybe Steven would have entered that, but he was not sure where his friend Steven went. Was he taken away by the Herobrine creature? Where did he go? He was not sure yet, but he had his thoughts that Steven was not on the same world that he was on anymore. But he kept going because he did want to stay here and he did not care how long he had to run. He was scared and he would do anything to get away. He went through almost all of the caves, even those that he already entered once, but he did not find the exit. But he saw something that he recognized, and that was the exit of the cavern that he was now back in. If he did not get shot by that annoying skeleton anymore, then he could swim up the stream again and be a free little salmon once again. And he did do just that. He killed the skeleton and now it was time to get away. He was running once again and he wanted to get away. He did not know how he ended up with a fish in his inventory, but he did not care about that at the time. He just wanted to not see Herobrine anymore because he was scary and he did not want to be affiliated with that man ever again in his life at the beginning of the 21st century. So it is pretty relevant, but this story was hidden by the police and the government, so it would not concern people that lived nearby the little town, and also not concern the people that even live somewhere there, because the people that would live there would probably have a smelly pants after you tell them this story happened in their town. So we are not going to name any towns so we don't concern the people that might live there, even though it is a relevantly small town. But I do not want to get in any trouble or anything, so I am not going to take the risk of saying something about a town with angry people. So here we go. Bob the Banger. You better be ready. I talked a bit off this minute so you could have gotten your popcorn and lay back in your chair or in your bed or wherever you are. Bob had darn anger. The year once again was the beginning of the 21st century, and it was in a town that is going to be unnamed for reasons to not frighten the residents from that town. Bob was a friendly geezer growing up, and pretty much all of the residents knew little Bob. But as Bob got older, he did not necessarily get any wiser, but he got a little bit fudged up in his head. On a night when Bob was in his bedroom, his parents had a little fight. And this was not new for Bob because his parents had a bit of a poopy marriage, but they did not want to get divorced because they might harm Bob's future with getting divorced. But they harmed his head just more with doing what they were doing. And what they were doing was not getting divorced, but almost every night that they were sitting at the television they would begin to have a little word with each other. Nothing big, but just a disagreement. But then either his mother or his father would say something, and then all hell broke loose. And Bob started to see it coming, and when he first saw it coming he said something about it and that he did not like the way that his parents got along with each other, but they just sent Bob to his room. And Bob would get sad in his room, because he wanted to see his parents happy just like any other parents from the kids that he went to school with. But something around 3 years later, the time was ripe, and it escalated so heavily with his parents that there was no way that they could live with the three of them anymore in that same house together. So Bob was a bit sick in his head from all that was happening at school, and also his situation at home, and his parents were to blame that it got this far. But Bob was on a normal day at school, and some of his friends were acting tough that they had a pistol at home. And Bob thought, hot darn, a pistol, that is pretty darn cool, even though if I say so myself. But if I had that and just threatened the situation at home, then maybe my parents would get along a bit better and I would save their marriage. But that was not how it worked, and neither did Bob get his hands on a gun, because with the age of 13 you cannot get your hands on a gun, or you have to know some pretty sketchy people. But Bob did not know any sketchy people, so he was there once again standing alone for himself. And Bob always thought that his mom had pretty cool spoons when she was cooking, and his uncle was a butcher, and he always thought that that was the coolest thing that ever existed. And he liked those spoons that butchers use for soup, the one that is called a butcher spoon. So he went to his uncle and he said that his mom needed a butcher spoon for cooking reasons. But what his Uncle Billy did not yet know that his mom was not even home, but she was sleeping at a hotel at the time. But Bob told the story because he knew that his Uncle Billy would not know that his mom was there, because his parents would not really talk about their problems, but instead they would just keep it a secret to themselves. And Bob knew as well, and he wanted it to end because he did not like the way that it was heading towards. But Bob hid the spoon under his shirt, and he would tuck the spoon in between his leg and the part where the belt from pants are, and it was nice and clean on that place. But he got home, and his mom was not home, so there was no fight at home. But his dad had a bit too much to drink, and Bob did not like that because he was acting strange for some reason. But Bob did once again not really care, and he just headed to his bedroom and he put the spoon under his pillow just in case any burglars came in, because he was really afraid for burglars. So he went to bed, and in the morning somehow his mom made him breakfast, and the two of them were acting happy. And that never happened. Well, not that Bob could remember, but his mom and his dad were both just happy, and that was nice for a change. But Bob did not yet know why they were happy. But just casually his mom was making little Bob some cereal, and she just said it. She said that she and his dad were getting a divorce. Well, Bob did not really know that it was going to be a pretty huge deal for him, but he did know that it was not a really good sign to get a divorce. But he did not really care. But his mom still needed a place to sleep, and his dad was still paying all of the rent by himself, and he would claim the bedroom that the two had shared all those years. So his mom had to sleep in the garage where there was an attic, and there was a nicely built guest room, and it was pretty much on the other side of where his father would sleep, so that was good because they then did not get into a fight. Well, that is at least what they thought, because that is just what happened. They got into a fight, and our poor Bob went mad, and he got down from his bedroom holding a spoon, and he headed down really mad, and he headed down to his bathroom that was for some reason on the same floor that the living room and the kitchen and all of that was. But what he saw there was just unhuman, because his mother had a screwdriver in her hands and his father was laying on the floor with a lot of blood around him, and he assumed that his mom had killed him. But that was not the case. Well, at least his mom told him that another guy that she talked with had killed him, and he just left the scene the same minute that she and Bob were standing there. And he knew that his mother would never even get the thought in her head to kill his father. So, he knew that some other dude had done that, and he was sure that he would get revenge. He did not yet know how, but he was sure of that he would get revenge of that guy, because no one would just take something that close away from Bob. Bob was furious, but he could not do anything, and that is what made him even more furious, because he had no control over the situation. But the police showed up and they explained to the coppers what happened, because a murder does not really happen that often, so they had to explain what happened. But the sheriff of the town knew his mom, and his mom was a bit of a pretty woman, so the sheriff had a little eye on her and he knew her pretty well. So, he believed that it was true what happened, and they said that they would do anything to catch the murderer, and they knew who the murdered was because it was a friend of his mother and his name was Timmy. And the police always knew that Timmy was not really 100% correct, because he was doing some shady stuff for the couple 2 years, but they knew that it could be Timmy that murdered someone because Timmy was always acting weird. But guys, that was it for this video. It is time to say goodbye, and I will see you in the next video.